Hi, this is Anis from Never Stop Trucking. Hey, Ulrich, thanks for joining us every time. Let me know if the sound is okay. Keep forgetting to put on my headphones to monitor the sound. Here we go. That should be okay. I hope everyone is doing well. Today is Wednesday, May 7th, middle of the week. The loads are doing okay. We are seeing some movement in flatbed freight and in reefer freight, especially down south and southeast. Yeah, thank you, Ulrich. Nice to join. Nice of you to join every time and comment. So the reefer freight is starting to do better, and we see brokers struggling to pay for the reefer freight for the prices that the carriers are asking. So I noticed that. Flatbeds also, they're starting to do okay. You can, nowadays, you should be able to get a load that's $3 or more per mile. Depends where you go and where you are, what day of the week it is. But with flatbeds, it should be easier. Drive-ins are still struggling, and drive-in rates, we see them not moving up yet. So we'll see what's going to happen with the tariffs and with everything that's going on in the world right now that might affect the drive-in freight in short term and in long term. So, like I said before, I hope that the short term freight will be just the crisis will be just temporarily. So hopefully, once the warehouses get empty, and hopefully whenever they reach out, when they reach a deal with other countries, hopefully then they're gonna require us to transport more freight, and therefore the rates are gonna go higher. I prepared some topics for today, and if you have any questions, you can always ask, as always, and then I'll try to answer those questions as best as I can. The first thing that I wanted to talk about is broker bonds. I just made a video today that I'm gonna release most likely on Friday about some brokers starting to pay late, some known brokers, some large brokerages, and I wanted to talk about bonds because I think that $75,000 right now is not much, because most of these brokers, they will move freight worth much more than $75,000 a day, and their accounts payable are in millions of dollars. And what $75,000 gonna do if they decide not to pay? If they go bankrupt. Now, if they go bankrupt, that's a different story. But if for some reason they start getting paid late, and just looking at my messages here, if they for some reason decide to start paying late, then those $75,000 are not going to do anything. Most likely, there is going to be a carrier that they owe more than that. And then when you reach out to those broker bond companies, they will make everything in their power not to pay you. They will ask, and I've had that before. Several times I reached out to their bond insurance companies, because basically that's it. It kind of works like an insurance. So when you reach out to them and tell them, hey, this broker is not paying, they will request so much paperwork from you, and they will ask for so many things. Like the last one that I reached out to, they wanted me to write a statement and notarize that statement. Like just trying to make it hard for you. And if you tell them, they're going to ask questions like, was the driver late? Um, was the driver tracking? They're just going to find something not to pay you. And then it's also very hard to find who the bond company is for that broker. It's very hard to find that. Now, we used to have paper contracts or PDF contracts, so it was easy just to go there for the broker and find out who their bond insurance is. But right now, most of them will use RMIS or Highway or something similar to that, and it will be very hard to find out who that is. One way that you can actually do that is if you go to DAT load board and you click on the broker, and it will give you all the information for that broker. And then right there, buried in all that information, you have to kind of go through some tabs and scroll down, and then you will be able to find who the bond company is, their contact information and their policy number. So that way you can reach out to them and find out who that is. And then that's just the first step. So if the broker is not paying, there is also a possibility that you can reach out to that shipper or receiver that you did the load with, and you can tell them that this broker is not paying. And I guess the shippers are required, or the receiver, whoever their customer is, that they are required to pay for that load. Now, even if the broker is not paying, even if they already paid the broker, and a lot of people don't know that. So next time, if the broker is not paying, just besides of threatening them with a claim on their bond, you can tell them that they're going to reach out to their customer and request a payment from them, and they don't want that, right? It makes them look bad. And if the shipper has to pay you and the broker, then they're probably going to just drop them. But sometimes, you will have to get lawyers involved because, maybe that shipper and receiver, maybe they're not going to want to pay you. But I'm not sure. I think there's a law that requires me to do that. I'm going to answer some messages here that I have to do right now. So give me 1 second. Okay. What else do we have? The DOT Blitz Week is coming. If you didn't know that. So May 13th to May 15th. Usually they do it Tuesday to Friday. I'm sorry, Tuesday to Thursday. So that's 3 days. That's what they usually do it. So next week, May 13th through May 15th, there is going to be a so-called DOT Blitz Week. Most states will start earlier. They're probably gonna start on Monday and maybe even finish on Friday. So you can plan on that next week. What does that have to do with us? Well, first, if you're a carrier, you gotta make sure that your equipment is okay. Of course, you have to do it all the time, but especially during this week. If you have trucks, older trucks or trucks that have some trouble, or you have been postponing in with checking on those trucks and fixing them, now it's a good time to do that. Some carriers, some owner operators will choose not to drive at all, And I know a lot of people that are going to do that. So they're just going to sit. What does that mean for us? Well, it means that that there will be less trucks on the roads. Therefore, the brokers might be paying more next week. So if you see rate improvements next week, it's probably not because the markets are becoming better. It's just because there are not that many trucks on the road. So I think you can even, as of Monday next week, you can just don't be shy. You can start asking for more money because of that. And we'll see what happens, right? This week, next week, they're gonna focus on different, things. So I'm gonna go to CAVSA's Commercial Vehicle Safety Alliance website and just take a look what they're saying. So every year they focus on different things, and it's usually two things. Like they might say, well, this year we're looking for brake problems, or driver, what's the name? Can't remember the name. Like driver focus. And this year they're gonna do the same thing. So when they say driver focus, they mean usually like that the driver is not looking at their cell phones, that they are not swerving, and meaning that they're not paying attention. And this year they're gonna do that for the drivers, and they're gonna also look at the hours of service. It used to be with paper logbooks that the DOT would take a harder look at the logbooks, and we as carriers also we had to pay more attention to these paper logs because it's very easy to forge them. And I'm not gonna say most drivers, but at least half of the drivers were just messing with their paper logs. Why? Because they could. Most of them now they can't. Some of them still do it, even with the electronic logbooks. That's a story for itself. But DOT knows that right now it's very hard to mess with electronic logbooks. There are companies still that are using double logbooks, like different kind of subscriptions, and the drivers would use one of them for first half of the day, and then they would use the other one for the second half. Or some of these ELD software companies that are based usually in Eastern Europe, they will have their teams over there, and you pay a subscription fee for that, a separate fee, a week or a month, and then the driver would call them and ask them to change their hours. So the DOT is going to be concentrating on the hours of service, and then also they're going to be concentrating on tires. So they're going to look at tires. Now, speaking about these electronic logbooks and the companies that fix them, they have their own ELD software. So you have some trucking companies here, and they have teams overseas, and they develop their own ELD. And you might have a large trucking company, and they just pay to make their own ELD software, right? And they also sell it to others, because why not? Now you can sell it to others and make some money on the side. But then they have those teams that they would call, and and asked them to just fix their driving hours, which is of course illegal. And it's I got a phone number the other day. One owner operator reached out to me, and they were telling me, they were asking me about it. I said, no, we use Motiv ELDs. Even if you wanted to, you can't mess with them. And he said, well, this is the company I worked with before, and he gave me the phone number for the company. So I called them. That was the ELD software company, and it's just like some shady website and service when you call them. And I asked them, hey, well, I'm interested in your ELDs, and I asked them, hey, is there any way you can do something about that, like about the hours? They said, well, let me call you back. I'm not in the office. So this guy calls me from his cell phone. So I guess he doesn't want to be on an official line. And he said, yeah, when he called me back from his cell phone, he said, yeah, we can do that. You just pay a fee. And yeah, people do it. So, and a lot of drivers will argue that they're not able to make money if they follow the actual hours of service, and then sometimes they cannot. Like if they run out of hours, they have to get somewhere, and this logbook is preventing them, and they just want to have it just in case, right? Like they're not gonna mess with it all the time. It's like just in case. No, still we can't do it. We can't do that either. Almost every driver. No, it depends which company you are in. So like when we were on paper locks, and I was driving using the paper locks, and yeah, maybe most drivers did it. I do know some of them, and even some of them that drove here, and I talked to them about that, and they said, no, I don't do that ever. And when they turn in their logbooks, because we had to manually check each logbook, that was like you had to have a dedicated person just to do that, especially if you have a large number of trucks. So when you get those logbooks, you have to check all of it. The fuel times match, if they have tolls, the tolls match the times on the bill of lading and PODs. Do they match? And are they driving over 14-hour limit, or 11-hour driving limit, 14-hour on duty, 70 hours on duty? You had to check and calculate manually all of those hours, man. So that was very time consuming and very hard. Right now, it's so much easier if you have like Motiv, that we use, or one of those bigger companies. You don't have to worry about any of that because drivers can't mess with it. And you see if there's a violation, if there's something missing, you see it right away. And I always speak to drivers, because of the owner operators that drive here, and people that I know or hear from YouTube. The drivers that were complaining most, I think it was in 2018 or 17 when they implemented this ELD rule. The drivers that complained the most about that now love these ELDs because they're not driving tired anymore. They make them stop, right? And you're legal, you're safe. If something happens on the road, and things will happen, then you don't have to worry about being illegally present at that time, at that place when that happened. Because whatever happens, whose ever fault it is, if there's an accident or if there's something larger going on because of that accident, whatever happens, even if it's not your fault, you were not supposed to be there at that time. And lawyers and the insurance, and they will use it against you, and they will probably win. And even people that do it now, that change those hours, like, you can still prove that you drove illegally. Like, even if you call your ELD service and you have them fix it, it can still be proven very easy that you were driving illegally at that time. And then, oh boy, you and your company, everyone is going to be in big trouble. And you don't want that, because this business, as I always say, this is a long-term business. This is not something that you do for 1 or 2 years. You make some money, and you have to shut down your company because of something. No, if you shut down the company, you're probably going to owe a lot of money to a lot of people. So the only thing that maybe you could do is go bankrupt. And well, like, what is that a good business plan? No, it's not. With current market, they're trying to drive more to make ends meet. Well, okay. So when we had after COVID, and when we had a trucking boom, and the loads were paying great, right? And at that time, you were able to make money. We were still on ELDs, and we are still on ELDs now. But even if you're messing with your hours, keep in mind that the pay per mile is bad. So even if you drive more, you're going to use more fuel. You're going to put more miles on the truck. You're going to pay more for maintenance, for tires, and there's going to be a bigger risk of something going wrong on the road. And all of that while you're illegally driving. So I seriously, I don't think that's worth it. Because I see advertisements, carriers or dispatchers are advertising their services, and they're saying, well, you can make $8,000 a week with a driver. Well, yeah, if you drive 4,000 miles, maybe you can make that. But 4,000 miles, if you drive that, and I'm talking about average, I'm sure you can do more than $2. Like, if you have a good dispatcher, if you're, watching the areas you go to, you can still do better than $2 per mile. But let's just say that the average right now is $2 per mile for a drive-in. So you're gonna drive 4,000 miles. How much fuel are gonna use? How much are you gonna pay for that? And then you're out there, you're working extra hard. I understand if let's say the loads are paying $4 per mile, and you want to make more money, and then you're driving extra hard, and you drove 4,000 miles that week, or 5,000. Now, that's something. That's a gross of $16,000 or more. Now that might be, worth it. The extra time, extra money, and pay for the fuel. But for $2 a mile and drive that much, to maybe net maybe $1,000 or $2,000 more, I don't know if that's worth it, right? About electronic ELDs, I have worked with drivers who I don't know how, but they reset the hours, still pondering how. Well, yeah, that might be one of those ELD services that they can, mess with. I just found your live dispatch video from 2 years ago, and I actually caught you live. Cool. Yeah, I think it's gonna be 4 years end of this year since I had this trucking channel. I had other channels, this like a home improvement DIY channel that's even older than that. But then I decided to record myself doing this, and then I just, all my attention right now is on this channel. But thanks for watching, Jason. They have to take action about shippers and receivers. Uh, what do you mean by that? What kind of action? If you can clarify that. Spam risk keeps calling me. It might be one of the brokers. Give me 1 second. Dispatch. Hello? Yep. Spam for sure. You're blocked. Brokers don't really care about driving hours, not all the time, but yesterday there was a load from California to Colorado, and the broker wanted it to deliver next day. He was trying to talk me into it. It was 1,000 miles. Well, if you had a team, maybe you could do it. Like if they start early. Yeah, they could do it if they start early. Good morning, DMC. Thanks for joining. Yeah, but the brokers, well, it depends what kind of broker. If this is a smaller brokerage, or if this is someone inexperienced in a larger brokerage, they might ask you to do that. But all I tell them in that situation is that, like, hey, you need a team driver, team drivers. So that's not gonna, because if something happens, and I always go back to that, we really try to be safe here. If something happens and the broker is pushing you to do that, and you most likely you're going to have a proof, oh, it was TQL. Well, I don't know if his or her manager would like that, but yeah, I can see that happen. I can see that happen from TQL. TQL was in a few lawsuits recently, so they're used to it. But I'm not going to say which broker this was. I think it was one of the larger brokerages recently, because I'm not sure, right? That's why I'm not going to say it. But there was an accident, and they also went after the broker. And the broker, there was not even a proof that the broker asked the carrier to drive that many miles in a day. There was nothing shady or fishy going on. The only thing, like, their argument was that the broker didn't do their homework when checking the carrier and their safety record. So because the broker didn't notice that the carrier had a lot of out of service inspections, because they didn't notice that, and they still booked the carrier, somehow the broker is also now responsible for the accident that happened, right? So brokers, they also have to be careful about that. Yeah, Ulrich, almost 2 years ago, I discovered Never Stop Trucking channel, and I never missed a live. Thank you. Ulrich, you're the first one to join every time, and that's really great. Thank you. Okay. What else do we have? Like I said earlier, if you have any questions or comments, let's talk about trucking. This is a live stream about trucking and dispatching. And if you have any news, if you have any comments, go ahead and say it. I used to work with a company who changed ELD hours, but they accepted every load without negotiating. That had from one side of state to another, just bad for business. See, those kind of carriers, they are the ones that are contributing to the rates going down. When you accept freight without negotiating, and when you accept cheap freight, then everyone else is going to struggle because of that, because it's a domino effect. And there's a difference. Like, you want to have, like, when you're a carrier, let's say you're a carrier and you buy some trucks and you want to make everything play by the book, and you talk to brokers, you talk to shippers, and you're trying to book freight, and you want to look legit there on the road. You want to be safe. You want your trucks to be reliable, and therefore you're buying newer trucks or brand new trucks, right? Because brand new trucks are there for a reason. They're there to make miles, to put a good driver in it, or a team driver, and run it, and just go out there and run the truck. That's why we have brand new trucks. But right now, it's very interesting that when you hear someone buying a brand new truck, you're like, man, you're not very smart, are you? Because why would you buy a brand new truck that's almost $200,000 right now and have a payment when the loads are not paying well, when the markets are bad, and the insurance is going to be very high for that truck, and then also the quality for these brand new trucks, it's just not there anymore. I spoke to a guy the other day. He's driving for a company right here in Holland, Michigan, and he got a brand new truck, and he drove 5 miles down or 8 miles down the road, and the truck broke down. I spoke to another guy, owner operator, that wants to lease on his truck here. He ordered a brand new truck a couple of months ago. He finally got it, and the truck was it broke down, or something was wrong with it, so they had to order a brand new truck, right? So now, like, when you talk to someone, they say, hey, I have a brand new truck. You're thinking, well, man, that's not a good business decision, okay? But then what are you going to drive? Okay, you can buy a decent used truck right now for decent money, so that's great. But who's going to drive those brand new trucks, right? Why are they even making them? And when hold on one second, I'm going to take a look here. But when you're trying to compete against a carrier or an owner operator that has a cheap truck, not a payment on the truck is paid off, or it's like a $10,000-$20,000 beat up truck, they can afford that. They can drive that truck for less money. But here you're trying to do everything legitimately, and you want to be safe and reliable carrier for someone, but you can't make any money if you're booking those loads, the same loads as that guy with a beat up 20 or 30-year-old truck, right? So it's a dilemma. What are you going to do? Like, why did you even buy the brand new truck? So that's those carriers and those trucks are making it hard for someone who wants to look good on the road and be safe, and someone that wants a newer or a brand new truck. You just can't compete with that, and that's a big problem right now in this industry. They should take this in to the account. They try to save the money by not hiring a team because they don't want to pay the extra buck for team. I really don't see much difference in team rates or single driver rates. Seriously, it used to be that team means money, means more money. You can drive nonstop. You can make more money in a week, and the loads would pay more money. But right now, I really don't see a big difference. The only thing, the only way, the only reason why you can make more money is because because you can do more loads and more miles in a week. But are they going to pay more for a team driver? Maybe a little bit more, right? But yeah, maybe they're trying to save money, but I don't know. Good teacher. Thank you, DMC. What can we do if the shipper and receiver take more than 4 hours to load and unload? Don't go to that shipper anymore. That's the only thing you can do, right? We have I'm not gonna say a list, but especially here in Michigan, you do know that some shippers and receivers will take long time to load and unload, like Myers, Kroger, Sam's and Walmart. They're okay. You know, they're like 2-3 hours depending on the location. The only problem with them is that they're very strict for their appointments. But like Target DC, CVS, Walgreens, and you know, anything that has to do with food, these big DCs, you just know that you're gonna stay there. So what can you do? Probably not much. You know, if the driver stays there for more than 2 hours, before the 2 hour mark, make sure you tell the driver to let you know, because you will have some drivers that don't even let you know. You know, some of them will blow up your phone after 30 minutes or 1 hour and say, hey, you know, like, what's going on? But some of them will sit there for hours and not even tell you. And like you're doing other stuff. Maybe you're getting sidetracked. Maybe you forgot, like you're assuming everything is fine. But then that driver reaches out to you after 4 hours and they're saying, hey, well, I'm still here. Well, you should have told me that, you know, before the 2 hour mark, so we can push the broker and ask them to push the shipper to load you or unload you. Sometimes that will work. Sometimes it won't. But you have a proof that you let them know, because some of them will not even give you detention if you don't let them know before the 2 hours are out. And you know, most of them will not even give you detention right away. You will have to ask them, sometimes for days, sometimes for weeks. You have to ask the broker for detention. And give me 1 second. I'm following some brokers on LinkedIn and on Reddit, and they straight, like, they're straight with you. Like, they will say, hey, well, I got this detention from the shipper or their customer, and I'm keeping 20, 25, 30% from them. They just say, and just so you know, it's standard practice. And I'm surprised that everyone agreed with those people that are posting those things. Yeah, well, you have to do it. It's normal practice. I don't know if that's normal practice. If a truck driver is wasting their money and fuel, and company is losing money, and you're paying them $30-$40 per hour for the detention, you know, that's offensive. But then on top of that, they might take 50%. So if you're getting $40, they're probably getting 80, maybe even more per hour. But you'll never know. So brokers will keep a portion of that money. And if you notice that this shipper, you know, has been doing it, or they did it once, the only thing you can do is maybe just choose not to go there anymore. I'm new here, but have watched your videos. Pozdrav Enis, pozdrav Rehan. Mostly new drivers do cheap loads. It could be that they don't understand how market shifts with a change of state. Okay, well, I think I understand what you're saying. So it might be that some new drivers, but when you say new drivers, it would have to be new owner operators, right? Because drivers, like company drivers, they don't they have nothing to do with the rates, right? Like they're paid by mile or by percentage or by hour. Usually it's per mile. So usually company drivers, they don't have any saying in the rate. Owner operators, usually there's someone who has some experience. Usually drivers will start as company drivers first, and then they would buy their own truck and start as an owner operator. So by that time, they should know, they should learn the markets. but yeah, you might be right. Like it could be a new driver that just got a truck and they want to be an owner operator right away. But in my opinion, it could also be someone that has an older truck and their costs, the maintenance costs and insurance is low, and maybe like their lifestyle is different than someone else who has a better truck or newer truck. They don't spend that much money. Some drivers even live in their trucks, so you can't beat that, right? If those guys are taking those cheaper loads, what are you going to do about it? You're just going to sit and look through a window, and there are also a lot of immigrant drivers, and I see videos about that all over YouTube and comments whenever you go to one of those websites that has some radical views about politics. They will complain about illegal drivers, immigrant drivers that are just coming here from different countries and they're driving for cheap. And that probably is true. There is some of that, there's some of that. I know I've had people apply here that are coming seasonally here from Eastern Europe, and they have some kind of temporary CDL licenses. I don't even know how that works. But even them, they were asking for a lot of money, so they are not trying to run cheap. So it's a lot of things. Let's see, Ken, why do you think there are virtually zero American trucks in Canada versus Canadian trucks in the US? Canada markets are generally not as good as the markets here in the United States, right? If you look at the Canadian carriers and the way they're getting paid, they have a different pay system over there, even for owner-operators. If you're an owner-operator leasing out to a company, they have different payment system and payment concepts, if you will. And they don't, like, the industry that they have is way different than what we have here. And usually Canada carriers will come here and do some freight and go back. Some of them are not able to do loads, US to US. They could, they're allowed to come here to deliver a load United States, but then they can only pick up a load here and go back to Canada, right? So for them, it's hard to stay here and do loads like interstate loads within United States of America. But I guess some of them do it, and why shouldn't they? Like if our markets here are much better, and for us, for carriers, especially smaller carriers, most of us cannot even go to Canada. And for us, it just doesn't make any sense. Only if you're in some specific industry, maybe auto parts or something very specific like food, then it would make sense to go to Canada. But usually only larger companies from United States will go to Canada. For us, it's not very interesting to go up there. Let's just put it that way. Don't you think drivers are more profitable as compared to owner operators? They don't have to pay for fuel, insurance, and maintenance. Not much of accountability as well with an MC. What are your thoughts? Right now, the drivers, I'm not gonna say they're more profitable. It could be very similar. If you're a company driver and you're working for a good company and they have freight, whichever way they pay you, whether it's a commission or mileage, if you're busy and you're making good money, okay, right now, maybe you could make similar money. but only if you compare yourself to an owner operator that maybe wants to be home every weekend. They're doing specific routes. They don't want to go all over, like here in Usora Express, we do have a few drivers that only want to do Midwest and very like 3 or 4 states here, or maybe go to like Pennsylvania and New York. And you know that from my dispatching day in the life of a dispatcher videos, that we have some drivers like that. And they might want to go only to Pennsylvania or Buffalo, New York, or Erie, Pittsburgh area and come back. So right now, those loads are not paying well. Back then, they used to pay good money, and they were doing okay. Like these drivers would drive less miles. They would be home every weekend, or maybe even every other night they would be home, and they were still doing well. But now they're not. Right now they're struggling. So they're not. Their gross income is not that great, and therefore the net income as well. So when you compare those kind of drivers to company drivers, then yeah, maybe a company driver might do a little better than them. But if you have an owner operator who is willing to go anywhere and try different kinds of equipment, and willing to stay out on the road for 2 or 3 weeks and hustle, then that owner operator for sure will make more money than a company driver, even a good paid company driver. But let's say they're making the same amount of money right now. Let's just say that. So I see that as temporary. It's just temporary. It's not going to stay like that. It wasn't like that, and it's not going to be like that soon, hopefully, anymore. But let's say you're an owner operator and you're seeing a company driver making almost same money as you are, and the company driver does not have to worry about paying for maintenance and worrying about every little sound in that truck. If something is going to break down, you don't have to pay for insurance, permits on your truck, all of that. You don't have to worry about any of that. But there is another thing. There are a few other things that are very important to an owner operator. First is their pride. Second, it's independence. So that means a lot. Even if you're making same money, the point of an owner operator is not just to make great money or do better than a company driver. The point of being an owner operator is to be independent. You don't have a boss. You can go wherever you want and whenever you want. You can be home for vacation, for anything going on in your family life, or just because, right? You don't have a boss that's pushing you and micromanaging you, and that means a lot. That's worth a lot of money. There's also pride, right? You're your own boss. You have your own company. Like if it's a small company, you have your own truck. You're kind of like a small business, and you're doing something that others are not, and you're proud of that, right? So there are other factors, not just financial factors. But okay, I don't have to answer this. And then also, let's say like, okay, you're an owner operator right now, you have your own truck or a trailer, and you're looking at the company drivers, and you're saying, oh man, these company drivers, they're making the same money as I am. It's not fair. I'm going to sell my truck and do that. Okay, well, you're going to sell your truck probably for cheap because no one wants it, and it's going to be hard to sell it for the money that you maybe owe or that the truck is actually worth. It's going to be hard to sell it. Okay, and you sell it, you become a company driver. In 6 months or a year, the markets improve, everything goes up, and now like, oh man, why did I do this? I made a mistake. Okay, I'm gonna go back. Well, guess what? Now the trucks are you have to pay way more money for that truck. The insurance might be higher. it's going to be hard to find a truck like you had, the one that you maintained and took care of. It's going to be very risky, and you're going to invest a lot of money. To register it, insurance payments, all of that. It just wouldn't make sense to me to do that, right? Unless you have a really bad truck that's breaking down, that's giving you headaches. That might be different. Okay. All right. Let's see, what else do we have? Perishable loads suck. I want my freight here at this time, but they don't take it off until 4 or more hours goes by. That's one thing that I never liked about reefers. If you're running a reefer, you have to have a lot of patience. It's going to be long pickups, long deliveries, multiple deliveries, odd times, 2 a.m. or 4 a.m. deliveries. And it's also much riskier. You have to watch the temperature and make sure that the freight in the back is okay and that it's cooled down. And I just, especially with those food companies that you deliver to, because most reefer loads have to do with food, right? Some of them don't, but most of them are some kind of food. And these places are terrible. There's a lot of bureaucracy. They're unorganized. They have a lot of trucks coming in. They have lumpers, and generally, the people that work there are probably underpaid, and they just don't work as much as people that work in other companies. They don't want to. They don't have to. You go to the receiving office or the check guard. They're rude. They don't want to talk to you. It's crazy. I don't know. Once the season starts, and if you have some really good loads, if you have a good dispatcher, once the season starts, you're gonna be making more money. That's for sure. That's for sure. But you have to be willing and ready to go to those kind of places and deliver do multiple deliveries and stuff like that. I had one guy, I remember, he was my first reefer. That was a long time ago. And he just didn't mind. And I kept telling him, our dry vans at that time were grossing maybe like 5, 6, maybe 7,000 a week. But this guy, at the end of the week, when I make his paycheck, he would get net like $9,000-$10,000. And at the end of the week, he's like, well, you see what I'm doing? Well, yeah, okay. At the end of the week, you're happy, you have a big paycheck. And all he did was he would go back, from here, from Michigan to East Coast, like New Jersey, Massachusetts. And then he would come back with a dry load. Because back then, I don't know right now about reefer freight. I'm assuming it's still the same. But if you go to East Coast and you want to come back to Michigan, usually you would have to go with a dry load. Because they didn't have that much reefer freight coming here to Michigan. So we would just pick up a dry load, but go with a very good paying load over there for a reefer. So that's kad ćemo u Bosnu. Hey Detroit Euro, nice to see you. U Bosnu ćemo, pa ne znam, eto, možda ove godine. All the trucks are being bought to take home more money. I don't think people are buying all the trucks to book cheap freight. No, they're not. I'm not saying they're buying cheap. I'm not saying they're buying cheap trucks just to be able to book cheap freight. I'm saying there are some drivers, some owner operators who think that way. That's their mindset. They've had an older truck all along, and that's what they want. That's what they're used to, right? For some of them, it makes sense. But I'm not saying you go buy go buy a cheap truck, but look for good loads, for good rates. I'm not saying you should do that. Do you accept StepTech to lease onto the fleet? Yes, we have. We have one guy here with StepTech, and another guy is getting a StepTech soon. He's doing a drive-in right now, but we're seeing some loads. There is this one broker that I just got connected to, and we're good to go, and we can do StepTech loads and flatbed loads with them. They're very easy. I'm not gonna say what it is exactly, but the loads are lighter. And the thing is, you pick up these loads, go to one location, and then from that location they will have a loads to a different one, and from that other one they will have, and they keep moving the stuff around, like all year long. Well, usually it's during summer and fall. They keep moving this stuff around. And then, like, once you deliver a load to somewhere, then maybe in a week or so they're gonna have to move all that freight to a different location. Okay, so that's what we're seeing right now. But yeah, StepTechs are fine, and honestly, right now with a flatbed or a StepTech, you can make more money because flatbed rates are slowly improving. Not just in the South, but everywhere else. So right now, it's a good kind of equipment to have. Give me 1 second. I'll be right back. Okay, I'm back. I watched a reefer on I-5 North in California catch fire yesterday. Oh man. Hello, and he's from Serbia, 18 years old. Nice. Hi, Marco. Full of Boost protein drinks. Oh wow, that's gonna be a big claim. For reefer, I will avoid fast food restaurants. They never have enough crew to unload. Yeah, well, those kind of loads might pay better if you go locally to one of those places. But like you said, that will take a long time to unload. I watched some of your videos. I want to become a dispatcher. Keep watching. Keep doing research, and it will take some time to learn about trucking and dispatching. Do you think it's best season for independent dispatchers from other countries? No, I think it's a bad season for independent dispatchers from other countries. And I in every live stream I get that question. So if you want to go to a couple of my past live streams from Wednesdays, I talk about that, why I think it's not a good idea, especially if you are in another country. How much the StepTech averaging? So the StepTech, he just started, so I can't really tell you, and I don't want to lie to you, but he just started, so, and I can't give any. And then another thing, this is a team. These guys are a team that are driving a StepTech, so that's also different. But it depends, like where you want to go, what kind of loads you're turning down, and because sometimes you might have a really good load, and you might have a good connection from there, but the driver does not like that area. And then even though you have a good load from there, they don't want to go over there. So it also depends on you how much you're going to be able to gross. And I usually, like when people ask me that, if they call me and talk to me, or here on YouTube, if they ask me how much you can gross, I try avoid to saying that, because that depends on the driver, on the equipment, how often they go home, a lot of things, right? A lot of things. So I can't really say that, and I'm not going to promise you something like these other guys are promising. I can just promise you that we will take good care of you. You will get better, way better than average loads, and you'll have an experienced dispatcher and the owner of the company that has experience in driving, and transparent, honest. Sometimes, in these kind of markets, let me answer this. Dispatch. Good, how are you? We are not interested, but thank you. England Logistics, every time you book a load with England Logistics, they will call you and offer you, their tire discounts or maintenance discounts, whatever they're offering, every time. Every time. Anyway, so in these kind of markets, if someone is telling you that they have dedicated freight, something really out of ordinary, some crazy numbers that you can make in a week, most likely they're lying, right? They're just lying. And I don't want to do that. In these markets, in my opinion, finances, the money is the most important thing. That's why everyone is in this, because, of the money. And I'm not saying great money. I'm just saying like so you can have a salary and a decent paying wage. But in these markets, it's not just that the money matters. What kind of dispatcher are you working with? Are they always there when you call them? Are they always looking for best loads for you? Do they respect you? Do they lie to you? Does the company pay you on time? What's the percentage that the company takes? Generally, like, does the company have good scores with DOT, out of service rates, good reviews? Is it generally a good, decent company to work with? So that's another thing that matters in these kind of markets. So in my opinion, that counts for a lot. I learned the whole U.S. country position on the map. I know something about those. You will need, Marco, you will need to learn about tracking, like tracking terms, the way the tracking industry works. What does a broker do? What does a dispatcher do? What does a carrier do? How driver hours work? Where do loads go? What kind of loads? What kind of equipment there is? How to work with different kind of equipment. There's a lot to learn on my YouTube channel. You have hundreds of videos. There are other YouTube channels out there that talk about dispatching and tracking, and you can learn a lot from that. Just start watching those videos. Make a list. Make notes, and just teach yourself. I'm at ATS. My Freightliner been sitting contemplating whether to go back out on my own. Yeah, ATS, they mostly do flatbed freight, as far as I remember. That's same as Shoreway, right? Marco, next stop is to run. Christian, that's Chris. He's messing with you. Why? Are dispatch jobs going to die in the next 5 to 10 years? Oh, here we have KAG. That's a nice guy, and that guy is gonna be blocked. Goodbye. Okay. So the dispatching jobs depends what you consider dispatching. You know, people will when you say dispatching, they will think about independent dispatchers and dispatching agencies. But carriers have their own in-house dispatchers that you know strictly work for them. They're on their payroll. They're their employees. They're not independent. So, like if I'm here and we have our own trucks here at Usora Express, and if I'm dispatching those trucks, I'm a dispatcher for Usora Express, and that's not going to die anytime soon. But if you're talking about independent dispatchers that are trying to independently dispatch multiple carriers or multiple owner operators, that's a different story. That might be dying out because DAT Load Board and the FMCSA and brokers, they're vetting them more and more, and basically they're just prohibiting them from working, especially from other countries. So it's very hard right now, especially if you want to start fresh as an independent dispatcher. I don't think it's a good time to start. I don't know. Something might change in the future, but I really don't think much is going to change as far as independent dispatchers go. It's probably going to be only worse for them to be able to work for a trucking company that's based in the United States. I suspect the mega carriers would support all your suggestions in your steps to improve trucking video were implemented. There was one guy that said like, hey, so basically you want to do more, you want to have more government regulations. I don't want to have more government regulations. I want to have someone that's independent to implement all those steps. But that's going to be very hard, and the government will have to be involved. Because if you're independent, how are you going to enforce those rules onto carriers and drivers and new trucking companies? So that would be hard. But there were 12 steps in that video where I talked about how trucking companies can be more legitimate in the future. And of course, not all of them will happen, maybe ever. But if we could at least somehow, if someone out there is listening and watching those videos on YouTube and watching those suggestions, someone that's in power, if a couple of those steps or a couple of those things could be implemented in the trucking industry regulations, I think we would do much better, right? Thanks for being honest. No problem. That's okay. This channel has been based on honesty all along. 2 or 3 years ago, when dispatchers were thriving and making good money and it was easy to start, I made videos about that, right? But right now, I'm not gonna make a video about that. And if you ask me, I will tell you the truth. But what's sad is that I see videos on YouTube, and these guys are still advertising this as a career, as a possibility, and they're just selling their courses and just taking money for that. And I don't want to do that. We do have dispatching courses, but I'm not going to say, hey, just go check out my dispatching course, because most likely you're just going to waste your money if you live abroad and you want to become an independent dispatcher, unless you have a good plan, unless you have some experience or some contacts or a way to go around all those restrictions. And these dispatching courses that we have are not just for independent dispatchers. They're for carriers who want to train their dispatchers. They're for owner operators who want to dispatch themselves, or if they have a family member, they want to teach, so they can be dispatched, then yeah, you can get one of those our dispatching courses, and that will be helpful to you. If you do a hard work as an independent dispatcher, it will never die. Yeah, of course, anything you do, like nothing is impossible. I'm just saying that, if you ask me, that I think it's not that easy as it used to be, and the chances that you're going to succeed are slimmer, but it's not impossible, All right, we've been streaming for an hour. We had some really good questions. I did have some other things prepared here, but I think this is enough. It was a very good stream. I really enjoyed that 7-hour live. It was true reality TV with a message to never give up. That was, I think, a Friday, like a couple of months ago, and I didn't even go out of the office that day. I don't think I even ate, and I think Emro was also, on the other side, because he was working from home. He was trying to cover those trucks, and we did it together. So it was right now we do have a lot of trucks, and we have more dispatchers, and I actually wanted to do live dispatching this morning at 9 a.m. but that I had to change my plans. So we wanted to do live dispatching today, but we changed our mind. Thank you, Jason. AI integration is going to affect the dispatcher, like most brokers are using AI bot for booking. Yeah, I don't. Thanks, Jason. Thanks for subscribing. I'm just reading my messages here. Okay. AI. I don't think much is going to change. I don't think much is going to change because of the AI in anything. And I keep saying that. I see improvements. I see AI as a helper that will make our lives easier. It helps me too. Right now, me and Emra are using it a lot. But still, it's like having an employee. AI is not going to be a manager of your company, or a CEO, or someone that's in charge, and someone that does stuff on their own. I see it as a smart but limited employee. Imagine if you hire someone and they're good with certain things, they're intelligent, and they have a lot of knowledge. They read a lot of books. They went through a lot of courses and training, and they know stuff. But they don't have a common sense. They're limited. Imagine having someone like that works for you, and on top of that, it's kind of free or very cheap. So that's a good thing, right? You don't have to pay their benefits and pay them a salary or vacation, or they're always there. Like, they're never late for work. They never take time off. So that's a good thing for an employer. But they're very limited. They don't have common sense, and you have to tell them exactly what they're going to do. And sometimes they will make mistakes, and you have to be able to identify that mistake. Like like the other day, I asked, because I use ChatGPT. We use ChatGPT, and we have a paid subscription for that. And I asked it to add around 20 numbers because I was doing something. I was adding some numbers. I asked it to add 20 numbers, and those were 4 or 5 digit numbers, right? And it's very simple math. Just add those, and I just need a sum. And it did well. And for some reason, the next day, ChatGPT was down. It was very slow. And I'm like, okay, well, there are other AI programs. I went to Gemini and I asked Gemini to do it, and they gave me a wrong number. Like, it's just 20 numbers, just do a simple sum. It gave me a wrong number, and you're relying on that AI to do it correctly because you're thinking like, this is not, it's simple math. It's not advanced. And you're relying on that number, and it can be a very bad mistake for you and your business if you're relying on that, if you're not double checking that AI. Yesterday, I was with my son, and he was we were doing some like math calculations on with ChatGPT, like some advanced math things, and a part of the equation was 8 divided by 2. And it said 8 divided by 2 is 2. And we were like, hey, you made a mistake. 8 divided by 2 is 4. And ChatGPT is, oh yeah, I'm sorry, I made a mistake. You're right. Like, and how can you rely on with it being able to do advanced math if it makes simple mistakes like that? So ChatGPT and other AI programs, they're good to help you. You ask them to do some research for you, to do some calculations, to come up with a plan, give you suggestions. Maybe it can also it can help you with coding for websites. A lot of things. Come up with pictures, but it shouldn't be like, I don't think it will ever go that far that to be able to function the same way your mind functions, because everyone's mind functions a different way. So you gotta be able to give it specific commands. There are courses, there are trainings on how to give commands to AI, and you gotta be able to work with it. It's not gonna give you a result right away. If you want a good result, you have to tweak it and ask it different commands like 10, 20, 50 times if you want something to be perfect. And you're gonna spend a lot of time because of doing that. So you spent a lot of time. You had to have some idea of how this works, and you have to be able to check the results and make sure that they are correct, right? So that's your AI. Same thing with an employee like that. So in my opinion, it's not just going to take over a dispatcher job or any other job. It's just there to help you and be your assistant, but you still gotta watch it. Texas company Aurora. I wanted to talk about that, about those self-driving AI trucks today, but I think we're not going to have that much time right now to talk about that. If you want me to, because I did actually have an article here ready about that. Let's go back before I forget any other questions. Hey brother, me and my friend are going to start our own LLC. We have a hazmat tanker endorsement and CDL class with a TWIC card. So are you starting just a company or like an authority with an MC number and DOT number? That's different if you're going to do that. But for hazmat authority, that's going to be a lot of other permits and regulations for that. Cool movie. Okay, I can watch it later if I don't know what's it about. Yeah, so Texas company Aurora, they are. Let me go back here to that article. After 4 years of practice runs and over 3 million miles of supervised testing, Aurora Innovation is set to roll out fully driverless semis on Texas roads by the end of this month. No humans in the cab, no hands on the wheel, just sensors, code, and some very nervous engineers watching remotely and praying that they don't get involved in a lawsuit. Texas is basically the Silicon Valley of self-driving semis. It's got wide roads, clear weather, relaxed AV regulations, maybe EV, I don't know, and a whole lot of freight to move. It also helps that the I-45 corridor is one of the most heavily trafficked commercial routes in the country, making it ideal testing ground for ensuring that their driverless trucks can handle even the most crowded routes. Aurora has already logged over 1,200 human-free miles in the Lone Star State, and they're not alone. So I don't understand this. First, they're saying that they had 4 years of practice runs and over 3 million miles of supervised testing, but now they're saying 1,200, maybe just in state of Texas. So Kodiak Robotics, Gatic, Torque, and others are circling Texas and then testing their equipment over there. According to Precedence Research, the global autonomous truck market is expected to reach a value of $1.74 billion by the end of the 2025. The self-driving trucking market could balloon to over $15 billion by 2030. I still don't know how this is gonna work out. But they're saying Embark Trucks, once a $5 billion darling, after a SPAC deal crashed hard and is now liquidating. TU Simple, another former star, torched investor confidence with boardroom drama and a messy breakup with Navistar. Waymo hits the brakes on its trucking division. And then even Aurora struggled to get to this point, burning through 1.7 billion last year. So we'll see. We'll see about that. I mean, they can do that, but I don't know if, anytime soon they're going to replace the good old human drivers. Thanks everyone for watching and being here every time. And hopefully I can catch you next Wednesday, and then hopefully I can arrange for some live dispatching videos in future with someone here from Isora Express, so we can do it together, maybe 2 or 3 of us. We'll see. But again, thanks for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't. If you're an owner operator looking to lease on to someone that's honest and respectful and transparent, check out the description of this video and Isora Express.